Hey guys, this is Alachia, and this is my review for Hayao Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron. And this is supposed to be Miyazaki's swan song, the last as he goes into his retirement, but as we all know Miyazaki, that is probably not the case. He will probably animate until he dies. This is, unlike Wish, a beautiful kind of celebration of past works as it showcases a lot of the memorable aspects of all of the Ghibli films we have enjoyed from the past, like Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke. You see elements of this throughout the entire movie, little aspects that remind you of the delights that we experience from those films. This is, however, Miyazaki's probably most meditative and metaphorical film to date, as it is kind of semi-autobiographical in the aspect that it explores the complex ideas of a boy trying to come to terms with the traumas he experienced in his youth and the way that creativity and ideas of optimism helped shape his future. So this is a story of a young boy named Mohito who lives with his father and mother in Japan during 1943 during the Pacific War, and these fires, the fire bombings happen and his mother is unfortunately killed. His father Shuichi, who works at an air munitions factory, eventually remarries his wife's younger sister, Natsuko, who is pregnant, and they kind of evacuate out into the country in order to escape a lot of the threats and dangers of the war. And the film starts off showing how Mohito is incredibly indifferent and cold towards his pregnant stepmother, Natsuko, and the way he kind of rejects everything in life. And one of the things that I found incredibly powerful and yet disturbing from a Miyazaki film is how silent this film is. The score by Joe Hisaishi is completely absent in the first part of this film, which disturbed me greatly because his score is pretty much a quintessential part of all of Miyazaki's films, and yet it was not there. And it really wasn't until I digested the entirety of the film that I understood what that absence represented, especially as Mohito comes into the ideas of what storytelling is, what creativity is, what embracing, an idea of optimism in a world forward actually means. And that music is used to represent that idea of what creativity can mean for a young boy, especially going forward in life and trying to craft his own idea of a world that is not steeped in destruction and despair. And so when the score actually does start to kick in, it blows you away as usual because it's Joe Hisaishi. I actually just went to go see his concert this past summer in Virginia, and it was absolutely amazing. If you can ever see him in concert, it is absolutely worth it. I will say I was a bit worried through the first part of this film where I was like, oh, is he going super hardcore real in this one? Are we never going to get onto the weird aspect? Because with Miyazaki films, you're just like, okay, when does this shit get weird, right? Because it always gets weird. But it does eventually get weird as the Blue Heron finally drags Mohito into confronting his despair and his trauma. And it just drags you into this complete metaphorical world. Like I said, it's probably the most metaphorical of all of his films, where I think every aspect of this fantasy kind of realm represents something that I think meant something to Miyazaki in real life. For example, the old wizard that you see is Hisao Takahata, who he formed Studio Ghibli with, who he said had immense influence on him in his life and in creating order and structure and helping him build his career to be more disciplined and moving forward with the creativity and eventually, obviously, the success of Studio Ghibli. And then there are things like The Parakeet King, who I think is an actual representation of Miyazaki himself. And then several other aspects about the idea of the birth of optimism, creativity, protecting creativity from being engulfed and snuffed out so that it has a chance to reform and create new life and reshape the present. And there were just so many of those little things that I think represented something else, so much so that it's a film that I think I have to revisit in order to pick up more and more as I watch it each time. But it is probably the least fantastical of all of the films. And so it's the least fun, I would say, but no less impressive and no less meaningful. I think I felt the saddest I've felt watching this film out of all of the Miyazaki films. But I think that's obviously because I think you did feel that kind of personal emptiness that I think Miyazaki had felt during a time in his life, or a time in any boy's life, where he is lost and where he doesn't know which direction he wants to go in. Despite it not landing probably anywhere in my top 5 of Miyazaki films, I still definitely appreciated it, and I think it is well crafted and incredibly meaningful and worth checking out. I'm going to give The Boy and the Heron a B-. All right, let me know what you guys thought about The Boy and the Heron. Have you seen it? Are you going to watch it? I definitely feel like Hayao Miyazaki is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Because his stories are told in animation format, I feel like he doesn't get the same acclaim in Hollywood as other filmmakers, but I feel like he is one of the best. And despite the fact that we've had so many films come out this year from legacy filmmakers, I think it's very clear that Miyazaki is set apart in the fact that he actually still has stories to tell. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. And if you like what you're watching, please consider subscribing. And if you'd like to watch more, you can click right here or right here to watch more now. Until next time, see you on the flip side.